Story 1. One coffee coming right up.
I worked at a cafe in a big shopping center for a few months between jobs I actually liked. The manager was a nut and liked to throw her weight around. Every evening she'd tell me to clean the coffee machine and get ready to close up. Every evening once I was done, she'd ask me to make her a coffee for the road. I'd have to make it and then clean everything again. I offered to make it for her before I cleaned the machine, but she complained that it wouldn't be hot enough. I received a better job offer and was looking forward to one more week before leaving. However, the next night she wanted her coffee after we'd already had to stay back and I definitely wasn't getting paid overtime. Everyone had left 30 minutes before. I had had enough. I took care to spill coffee grounds everywhere, use as many utensils and jugs as I could and just make a huge mess. As I handed her the coffee, I told her I quit. The look on her face was priceless as she realized she'd be the one cleaning up. Worth being poor for a week.
Comment 1. If she made you work unpaid overtime, this would have been wage theft. Depending on where you live, this can be rather expensive for the owners. Expensive enough that the manager would have gotten sacked immediately and you could have had a paid vacation. Comment 2. Serves her right. After all, you were the one with, wait for it, grounds for complaint.
Comment 3. Are all managers universally just nuts?
Comment 4. It's mandatory for employers to pay overtime. I recommend getting an attorney. Comment 5. Love it. Brilliant revenge. Comment 6. And soon half the workforce isn't paying union dues, and the union can't afford legal representation. Eventually, the union is ineffective and more members drop out. I sincerely doubt either of us will change the other's opinions here. I'm too old to argue. I worked in the factory in the 60s with men who told me what they went through to get the union and why. There's a reason they exist. Best wishes.
Story 2. I'm working my section like you said.
About a decade ago, I worked at a well-known bookstore as a seller of books. For anyone not aware, there were sections/duties that people were assigned to during shifts and it changed frequently. It wasn't uncommon for shifts or duties to be swapped, relevant later in the story. There had been a recent change in management and a fresh employee, let's call her Lexa, received a promotion to be an assistant manager despite having limited experience and quite the undeserved chip on her shoulder. Pretty sure she got the job because of her friendship with the departing AM whose position opened up. She was very much a delegator who spent a lot of time hanging out in the back office. I knew Lexa wasn't liked by a few of the veteran employees for the seemingly undeserved promotion. I was a part-timer going to school, so I wasn't invested in moving up or challenging the store leadership. Didn't make much of a difference to me. She and I got along just fine overall and usually exchanged pleasantries with bits of conversation. Until one day. I showed up to work, clocked in, and saw my department was kids. I hated working in kids as it was a Saturday, super packed, and the person who I relieved was terrible at cleaning up whatever section she was assigned to. I called up Lexa and asked her if I could switch with another bookseller, who liked working in kids, that also just clocked in. Before waiting for an answer, yes, partially my fault, I asked the bookseller if she would be cool switching with me. Lexa, hearing me ask this question, yells over the phone, "No. You were assigned to kids, so go to your section." I replied with a simple, "Okay." I go to my section, and as expected, it's a disaster. Books on the floor, kids running around, toys strewn about. It was exactly what I anticipated. I got right to work on recovering messed up shelves, making stacks of the books to return to their proper locations, and picked up toys/trash. I was a man on a mission. Wouldn't you know it, but apparently there were some shelves and furniture that needed to be moved around. I get a call on my store phone. It's Lexa, and she needs my help with said task. Mind you, there were enough people on the book floor to help if she also left the back office to get it done. Her tone was much different, and she sweetly asked if I can leave kids to go help with the project. Well, kids is a mess. I was diligently working just to keep up with the unrelenting entropy due to the Saturday afternoon crowd. Could I have helped? Sure. Did I have an excuse not to? Sure did. I firmly replied, sorry, I'm busy in kids. Nothing more, nothing less. The shift ended, and we went go to the break room post-shift. Lexa talks to all of us and mentions how we need to remember to work as a team. Her demeanor was mildly sheepish, and she avoided making eye contact with me. I sat there, staring right at her with a dumb look on my face, pretending I don't know she's indirectly talking about me. I did find out from a couple of friends she did help out, which required her actually doing some work instead of hiding out. We never had any run-ins after that, and she moved a couple of months later. In any case, I worked my assigned section like she told me to. On the bright side, I cleaned up kids and organized it so well that the kids' lead thanked me the next time we worked together.
Comment 1. Yes, I heard the team really appreciated you coming out of the office to help for the first time.
Story 3. Not until 4:01 malicious compliance.
So I work in a place that has a K taking incoming calls until 4 p.m. It's generally always busy, always understaffed, but that's the nature of the beast. I work the closing shift where you generally come in at a later time and stay later. So a few years back I used to work extra hard trying to get my end of work duties done early between calls in order to leave early right when we shut down the K. Manager was totally on board with this. Sometimes I'd be done by 410, sometimes 445. Didn't matter, I left when my work was done and rarely had to stay to my full 5 p.m. K, the supervisor, the person under manager, and the person who complains about having never enough time to do her job when she spends 60% of said time out of her seat gossiping with other coworkers. Okay, not my circus, not my monkeys. I ignore it and proceed to keep it my habit of working my ass off to get done early. This usually meant multitasking between calls and adding extra stress to work off a sheet for another aspect of our job. This goes well for years till supervisor starts wondering why calls aren't retrieved from VM after hours. Never mind, it's my job to get them in the morning following, which I do. And eventually I decide okay. So I'll stop working double when the K is active and save that work for 4:01 since that would make her feel better. No problem. I refuse to do anything but answer calls cause that's my immediate priority. Fast forward to months later and said supervisor is constantly asking people to help on the list between calls. Nope. Not until 4:01, ma'am. Meanwhile, the actual manager, the one in charge, is happy as a clam with super high productivity because I only answer calls, and I'm one of like only 3 people that do normally.
Comment 1. Out of all these words, I can confidently say I understood some of them. Comment 2. I am really a bit confused. With K, Spanish for what, do you mean Q? And later on, Q? And who or what is VM? English is not my mother tongue, so sorry if that is all obvious.